Hello, everybody. Welcome. Happy Thursday. It is July 18th. I cannot believe we are already midway through July, longer than midway through July, and we're already halfway through the summer of live. That is crazy to me. I'm super duper excited to be here with you guys today. I'm Jenny Guy. I'm the marketing manager for Mediavine, and we're continuing our Beyond Blogging theme, where we're talking about things that kind of go take a step beyond the nuts and bolts focus of your blog life that we usually are covering here on Mediavine Facebook Lives. So additional revenue streams and ventures and things like that. And today I am super excited. One of our biggest slogans at Mediavine is always diversify your revenue streams. We say it over and over again. We sound like a broken record. So even though we provide full service ad management, we never want any publisher to become too dependent on one revenue stream, even if that's ads. Sponsored posts can dry up. Ads are seasonal, but there are many ways to capitalize on the hard work of building up your audience. And we're discussing a big one today, which is product sales. My two guests today are both experts in product sales with multiple digital and physical products for sale. And I'm super excited to have them. I've said that 15 times because I am very excited to have them both. So I'm going to introduce them and talk to them. We're going to have them answering all your questions about product sales. First, I'm going to talk about Chloe Mackintosh. She truly went from moo-moo to moo-moo when she graduated college in May 2014 and moved with her then boyfriend, now husband, to his family's cattle ranch in Likely, California, population 99. She started her website, Boxwood Avenue, to write about beautiful design and her slow life in the farmhouse, complete with goats. I'm in love with the goats. I have to just segue here and say that Butternut was my favorite one featured, but they're all adorable.
She's so sassy.
She is so, her face, she looks like she knows way more than I will ever know about many things.
Yeah.
She has also written a photography basics ebook, which she sells along with teaching a photography workshop, which is upcoming. And we'll talk about that a little more later and get the links to you. And is launching an online branding course this summer. She sells farmhouse decor, linens, vintage items, as well as her custom prints and stamps. Chloe, welcome to the Summer of Live.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
We're excited to have you. Can you, well, I'll ask you in a minute. I'm just going to introduce our other amazing guest real quickly. Erin Chase is here. Hi, Erin.
Hello.
She is the master budgeter, cook, and mom behind the highly successful website $5 Dinners. She is on a mission to help her readers save money on groceries and get organized in the kitchen with her meal plans, e-courses, kitchen gadgets, and other websites, Freeze Easy, and the new Intentional Bites Planner, which we'll ask about in a little bit. She's been featured on the Today Show, Fox and Friends, the Rachel Ray Show, The View, and many more, which is completely humbling that she is on the Summer of Live with us. But I'm so thrilled to have both of these amazing ladies with us. Erin and Chloe, welcome. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Hey, I'm excited.
I'm excited too. Okay, so we're here to talk product sales, which both of you are experts in. But I kind of want to start and get a little background on the evolution of your websites and your personal brands first, because I imagine that it's very important to develop that clear brand to target a specific audience that will actually buy what you sell as the first step to having successful product sales. So could you both tell me how you came to the brand you have today and what the evolution was to product sales now? And either one of you can go first. I'm sure you both have amazing answers.
Erin, you can go first.
We should have picked before we started. Okay, I'll go. So $5 Dinner started in August of 2008. So we're coming up on our 11-year anniversary, which is insane and super exciting.
Amazing.
And it started out of necessity in our family, in our budget. We were pinched and the gas prices were going up that summer of 2008. So we needed to do something. So I wasn't working at the time besides having 2 kids because that's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Wasn't earning money at the time. How about that? And so I decided to spend less of our money, and the easiest place to do that was groceries. And I started sharing, and it just went crazy, and it resonates with people because at that time the recession was just starting. Even though we've come out of it, it still resonates with people because people are still in kind of that save, spend less mode. And so the easiest one to control is food and groceries. And so that's our bucket, and that's what we focus on.
Excellent. And same question to you, Chloe, that evolution of your brand and developing it.
So when I always wanted to shop. That's why I started my blog, because I knew that I couldn't just start selling stuff. I couldn't, with Amazon and just access to products, I knew that I couldn't charge what I needed to charge to make money without a solid brand behind it. So when people are paying the prices that I charge, they're also paying for the brand, and they're getting a little slice of Boxwood Avenue for their home. So I started my blog really just to build the brand to eventually open up the shop. And then the blog took off, and the blog, I will say I don't know. It kind of balances out, but the blog is definitely more important to me now than the shop. The shop is really something that's added to the blog, and I wouldn't have expected that to happen, but really I started the blog for the shop, and then it just sort of morphed into the blog.
So did you always know, you said you always knew you wanted to do products. Did you always know that you wanted to do this farm, that vintage, the look that you have? And the same question to you, Erin, how you developed that look, that very distinct branding that you have with each of your sites. How did you develop that? Chloe, you start because you were talking first. Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's like this weird thing inside me that I just wanted to shop. Like it's weird. You just have these pulls or these draws, or you feel like a purpose. And I just always wanted to shop. I don't know why. And I felt that draw, but I just knew I have a marketing degree. So I knew that I needed a solid brand behind it. And so I started, I always knew that farmhouse decor and decor would be my niche.
Mm-hmm.
And I was already making things. So I started because I was sewing pillows. I had an Etsy shop, and I was sewing these pillows, and I had seen people with vlogs, and I'm like, oh my God, I cannot keep making these pillows. I was up until I was in college, so I'm like taking my finals and trying to get orders out for my pillows and sewing all this stuff. And I was like, people have these things called blogs, and I could just share how I make these pillows because I'm making them by hand. And if I share how to make them, then people are still associated with me, but I don't have to be doing this work. And so that's where the idea came in, to have the blog in addition to the product.
Awesome. Okay, Erin, same to you. How did you develop that brand?
So the $5 Dinners brand's developed as just like, here's a free place for recipes and articles and tips and tricks. And just, it wasn't enough, and I wanted to do more, and I had more ideas. And with each idea, it was still for our target, avatar customer, but it was different, and it needed its own space and its own place. And through the years, I've learned a ton. I think that, one of the most valuable things that I have done personally is just all the education and research and learning that I've done for myself, not only at the leadership CEO level, but also at the practical level, and learning how to do all of this and doing it quickly. But I just saw the need to diversify. We've always had ad revenue. We've always had a lot of traffic on $5 dinners. So it's always been healthy income. And the affiliate revenues, well, it's not our focus really anymore, but it was very healthy at the time. But I just knew there needed to be something else. And as these ideas and products would kind of evolve in my mind, I would just kind of lay them out there, and then everybody gobbles them up because they need it too. And all of our products have been developed out of my own problem of feeding 4 boys every day.
I love that. And that was my next question, was to say, why products? What made you take the leap? And we're going to get into more of the nuts and bolts of products as we go on and how you got your process. But you both knew from the beginning that products were a very healthy revenue stream, and you didn't find it too intimidating to make that jump?
Oh, it was intimidating and scary.
Okay, good. I mean, not good, but thank you for admitting that. I mean, it's because I've seen a lot of people have hesitation in that area, knowing that products can be an untapped revenue stream for them, but not having the confidence necessarily to take the jump into the product world.
I think for me, it's a little bit different because I actually, I have, in my basement, I have all my inventory. And that's a huge investment. And it's sitting down there and thinking, okay, I have to turn this over. I have to sell this. That it's a huge upfront cost. And so that's really why I knew that I needed to build that brand first to support having an expensive amount of inventory in my basement. And so it was scary. I mean, I waited 4 years before I made the jump, and it was my assistant that I hired. She's like, come on, we got to do this. And she really pushed me. But yeah, it wasn't, and it's not for me, it's not just like I have bottles of branded olive oil that I'm selling. I mean, I have really expensive French antiques down there that I've got to market and sell and figure out how to ship. So that was definitely scary.
Sure. Erin, same question to you.
I think for me, I've always been, I'm an action taker. If you know the Colby, I'm a quick start, right? So I will take the action and then figure it out, right? So
I admire that.
Yeah, me too.
I mean, it has its disadvantages because then there's the follow through of like, okay, we have to see this all the way to the end. But going back to your inventory comment, Chloe, like we have the inventory, we do it ourselves as well. And still, because we're not at the volume for me to be willing to take a cut into the profit to have a fulfillment center do it. But it stares at me and is like, sell me, sell, like, get this, move this. And I think what that does, and I think that, whether that's digital inventory, we have most of our products are digital, but they're not quite as obviously going, sell me in the background as our physical products are. So that's very motivating for us to do, because then it's like, okay, once we can't do another order, I'm not willing to take on another product until we sell this much and I have the cash to do that. Right. And so one of the things I was going to recommend, and maybe we'll get to this, sorry, I might be jumping ahead, but is do something digital until you can, and then take that chunk of change and take that to invest in the physical. And then there's less risk in terms of needing to borrow money or take out a loan or whatever, get a line of credit. I mean, there's lots of different ways to do that. But I think that the digital, for me, going from digital to physical, I was able to do that because I didn't have as much of a risk capital wise, and it didn't feel quite as scary. And I think that's maybe why I was able to take that leap and then figure it out. Right.
I love that. And that was an awesome piece of advice that would be great for Chloe to make on a pillow, that start out with the digital and then go into the physical with less risk. I love that. Philip Fryman is watching and he said, this is a great specific topic. I've toyed with ebook ideas for a while after building a cohesive blog brand and haven't ever made the jump because I didn't know enough about it to feel comfortable. So I think that's a common thing. So Chloe, you were saying, I want to kind of go back to this. I was going to ask, the next question was going to be, at what point in the journey of your business did products enter the plan? When are you ready? And you said 4 years. I think that can be either time in terms of building the brand, numbers in terms of building an audience, capital, whatever it is. But what point did you guys go, the switch was flipped, it's time to go?
Well, for me, I mean, my first couple of years of blogging were like, and I think you hear this story time and time again. It was like, oh, I would put up a recipe here, or I would, and I was doing all of these crafts because I had started with the pillows. So I was trying to do like the DIY situation, and that just wasn't working. And so for the first couple of years, really, I can't even count them because I was not taking it serious, and I didn't have the direction. I didn't know anything about SEO. I didn't even know what ads were. Like, that to me doesn't count. So I would say if you go into it with a solid game plan and you know your goals and you're hitting those goals, you can do this in a year or 2 years. It's just you have to build that brand and that awareness first, in my opinion, before you just start trying to sling product.
Absolutely. Erin, same question to you.
I started with our very first ebook. Let's see, it would have been third year. I don't even remember. Is that bad? Third year. And now that product, I don't even push it. It sits itself on Amazon. It's also on Kindle. Like it's just there. But what I want to say about that, and it was a digital product, it was delivered in the most clunky way because the software back then did not exist for this. It's so easy. The technology is so simple and affordable. There's such little overhead with digital products. It's your software fees, whatever they may be, right? That's in your time to set it up. It's super easy to do now. But it started me into thinking about how to develop more advanced, more products where I'm over delivering, products that people are like, whoa, what is that? We developed our own software. Like, we have our own software. That's crazy, right?
That's awesome.
none of that would have happened if I didn't start with that very first, like, not $1.99 ebook.
Right. Yeah, you had to dip your toe into the water. And it sounds like you were kind of one of the early trailblazers of bloggers moving that into exploring that revenue stream, and you created your own software. So you guys, I love this because not only does it show that I have amazing guests, which I already knew, but it also shows that I'm asking decent questions when you guys are answering questions that lead into the next question. So I love that. So the next question, actually, you guys are just geniuses, and let's accept that and move on. But the next question was going to be trying to kind of identify the difference between the digital and the physical products, and which came first and why and how. And you were saying that there's almost no overhead. So I definitely want to get your insight on places to go find software that is quality software that can help developing digital products, other than creating your own.
You answer that one.
That's mine. Okay, yeah. So I am a huge fan of Entreport, which is not, I'm going to just say it, it's not cheap, but it will pay itself back in 9 bajillion folds. Okay, so, and I say that because it's truly all in one. There's a lot of CRMs out there. There are simpler ones that you can set up, but if you want a login wall for whether it's a course or a membership, and you want all the automations to go with it, the email drips, the cancellation automations, like we have, that thing powers all of our digital content, all of it. And so that's my personal preference. It has the email sending. It has one-off email. They're constantly updating. I'm a huge fan of theirs.
That's awesome.
So I will say that. There are a couple of other, and the reason that I chose that from the beginning is because I didn't want to piece all these things together.
Right. Yeah.
I wanted one. So you can piece together a Teachable plus a MailChimp plus a Member Mouse plus a this and plus a that. We'll add all that up and your Zaps, right? Add all that up together and you're still spending what I'm spending. So I would rather have everything under one roof. That's my personal preference. That would be my recommendation. And again, going back to, I jumped in at $300 a month. You better believe I'm going to quickly make that $300 a month back. You better believe it, right? So that's, I don't know if that's personality or if just that's my, how I've trained myself to be, but it's go in and figure it out quickly and make it happen so that, I won't tell you how much, but that $300 in initial investment has long since paid itself back.
Can you say it one more time what it was? We want to post the link and we missed it.
Oh, Entreport, Ontraport.
Got it. Okay. Now, Chloe, do you have digital products? Are you selling some of those as well?
So we have an ebook, the photography ebook, but I kind of think that that's my number one. I don't really push it. It was my first dipping my toe into courses and ebooks and that sort of thing, because I'm constantly asked about my photography.
Right.
So right now we are developing our presets and our course, but we're just in the beginning phases of that. So that's actually really, really helpful, Erin, because I need a platform. I signed up for something. I don't even remember what it is because we're just getting it started, but I'm definitely going to check out what you recommended. But we do offer digital prints because of photography. And so people order my prints to have in their home. And so that's, that is so great because it cost me nothing. I took those photos years ago and now I can just make residual income from them. I don't push them very often, but I'll make a quick $100, when one sells, and that's just easy and great. And I use Richard's Photo Lab. I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but Richard's Photo Lab is awesome, and they just drop ship it for me.
That's awesome. And so is it Richard's Photo Lab? You can display that as well, and does it display your photos as well as allow you to have them sold?
On my website, I have it all set up, displayed, and then once the order comes in, I submit the order through Richard's Photo Lab, or my shop manager will submit that order through Richard's Photo Lab.
That's awesome. That's really great. And if you've already done the work and you get the money, that's what's not to love about that. So you would recommend, Erin, beginning with digital seeing how that goes, and then developing the physical out of that, using that, getting your overhead through that digital sales?
That was certainly my path, and it's a path I've seen work for other people. And I think that one of the things that is beneficial about having the physical products that complement the digital products, I don't want this to come across wrong, so bear with me, is that it almost legitimizes your digital portfolio, if you will. And I don't really know why I think that. That's just been my experience, and that's been what I've noticed, is that we have all these physical products, but oh my gosh, she mails member gifts, and oh my gosh, she mails these gadgets, and so it kind of rounds out the business and makes it feel more like a brand, even though all of our stuff is very Erin Chase driven. It's a thing. I don't know. That's just my personal.
People can touch it.
You probably feel the same way, Chloe. Like, it's just like, I have digital courses, 3 of them. I have 2 meal plan memberships. Like, we have all of that, and it's all set up. It's all automated. It all runs on its own. We just promote it, right? But then you add in this layer of gadgets, if you will, pillows and prints and like all these things. And all of a sudden, it's that touch point, and it's that, like, they love you so much because they have this beautiful image in their home that they got from you, or this beautiful pillow that they know that you made for them, right? So I think that just kind of levels it up a little bit, maybe.
I totally agree. I think it's like I said earlier, it's just having that little slice of your brand in their home, in their everyday, in their day-to-day. That isn't just digital. Because digital really is a dime a dozen now. Everybody does it. Everybody should do it. But to actually have that physical product where somebody uses it in their home and it changes their daily life, or it adds something to their daily life, I mean, that's like major loyalty right there. So grateful for that kind of touch point, to be able to have that kind of touch point.
And I love that it all just ties in to, whereas nothing is isolated. It's all continuing that cycle of having a great audience member who is then a great product buyer who is then staying with you. And I love that. I love that ecosystem. That's brilliant. Okay, we have a couple of questions from our audience. So first it is Jenny Kopelek, and she says, say you want to do something on a blog that has Cricut projects, and recipes. What digital product would you think of selling? I currently have an Etsy shop and have had it for years, but tired of making invitations and went all digital easy print products. Looking now for something different to do to bring in a small flow of money along with Mediavine. Do you guys have any advice off the top of your head?
Yes.
Go ahead, Erin.
Both of you, go for it.
This is hard when it's both of us and we try to talk at the same time. Okay, the first thing I would do is, if you have any sort of community, whether it's a Facebook group, an email list, or whatever, ask them how you can help them. Or ask them a specific set of problems. Or if you wanted to brainstorm like a couple product ideas, ask them which they would be most interested in. I personally don't, well, I shouldn't say that. I've done one thing where I didn't ask, but ask, because you want to meet the needs of the people in your community. And so that would be the first thing. As far as ideas go, I don't know if there's any project templates that you could sell to make things easier for people who are like I have friends who do like the cutting for your Yetis and your whatever. Like, is there some sort of a template that has, 20 design options on it that are like cutting edge or clever, or what's like Toy Story stuff, like whatever's trending right now? Is there something you could develop that's a digital file that you can sell to people? Because even a few dollars, it doesn't have to be, Chloe and I are very different. I'm over here on the budget side of things, and she's on the luxury side of things, which is amazing. There's a market for both, right? But figuring out, I think you could totally go more for something like that. You just have to you have to position it right and make sure you're connecting with the right people. So that would be my very first thought. I don't know anything about your business other than your question. So that would be what I would say.
Chloe, same question to you. Yeah.
I would just add to, I think that's great advice. Like the template, I would niche it down. Because like, I'm just thinking when I go for templates like that, cause it's so smart, I'm looking for something that's so specific and so, whether it's like you said, Toy Story, Disney, or I coach cheerleading, so I'm always getting like cheer stuff for my scanning cuts or my cutting machines. But it's always something very specific. So I would just say have a niche. I started with my Etsy shop with the pillows, and it was like so crazy making all of these pillows. And so then I was able to buy ribbon at a wholesale cost, and I was just so excited because I had always wanted this shop. And so I was like, oh, I can sell ribbon. People make tons of money selling ribbon on Etsy. There's all of these shops that are selling ribbon, and you can see the sales on Etsy, like you can see how much people are selling. And so I started selling ribbon, and I didn't sell any ribbon. And so then I was getting married, and I made a return address stamp for our wedding invitations. And I was like, hey, I could get this at a discounted rate. They had like an ad on their site, get this at a wholesale rate. And I was like, oh, I could add that to my shop repertoire. And so I started doing that, and I wasn't selling any return address stamps because, I mean, think about it. There are 5 million return address stamp vendors or whatever on Etsy, right? So then I wanted to make one for some canning preserves that I was making. So I niched it down to eggs, farmhouse, anything that could go into my farmhouse niche. And I mean, it took off. I sell egg stamps. I don't know if you saw that.
I saw those. Yeah, they're adorable.
Nobody knows what they are. And now there are quite a few competitors. So we're not quite selling as many. But when I first started doing that, I mean, I could not keep up. I was selling thousands of these egg stamps. And if you think about it, all it is a 1 inch by 1 inch stamp with a chip on it. But I niched it down and I branded it a certain way, and it took off. And so I think the key to Etsy is just having a really specific niche product. I mean, and that's what they say about anything, right?
Yeah.
But I always tell that story because it was amazing. Like, I was selling stamps both ways, but it wasn't until I had my stamps branded in a certain way that I saw success on Etsy.
Very smart. Kim Seger says, Erin, do you think the name of your product or the name of your blog helps sell your product? She feels that her blog name hinders you. Do you think a blog name makes a difference? She says she wants to change her blog name, but not sure if it would hurt her. Before we jump into that, can we please post our article about rebranding? Just for that, just quickly. I don't know if that's what she was talking about. She might just be talking about doing some small cosmetic changes or something like that. But if you are thinking about rebranding, let us post in what Mediavine's stance on rebranding is. And then Erin, go for it.
Well, what's your stance before I answer? No.
On rebranding, should you change your URL? No, you should not.
Right. Yeah.
Ever.
Okay. So the let me start with this. Your blog name, you should be thinking, and this is a mindset thing, thinking about that as your brand name and your business name, first of all. So I think that is one thing. So I'm going to answer this with the brand kind of name in mind. Yes, your brand name can help or hurt you. And naming things is probably the most challenging part of this entire process.
Interesting.
I landed on the money, pun intended, with $5 dinners. I don't know why I picked that. Actually, I know why I picked it, but it is a great name. And I have named, I don't know, dozens of things since then. And it is really hard to do, especially now that all the URLs are taken and all the trademarks are taken and all the things are taken, right? So, okay, I see your blog name now. I mean, if you can't change your URL, you can change a brand and it still sits in the same place. I don't know if that's what Mediavine says or not. But you can do what I do. Ask me how many active domains I have on my host right now. I name it and I give it its own website. If I'm going to build out an entire new product suite, the software that I developed is not $5 dinners. It's a freezer cooking plan. It's a weekly meal plan. Those are different and they live on a different URL. Those don't have any ads on them because they were their product. I want you just to buy the products, right? So I don't want to not to say that ads are whatever. I will stop there. But it very well could be that that your name is being confused. I understand what this old mom means. I understand that, but I could understand why somebody wouldn't or would think you're meaning a different word. So that's entirely possible. I have seen many people have a domain or URL with a completely different header. I've seen that a lot. So I don't think you should be afraid to do that. And if you are planning on building out some sort of a product of suite of products, and what I mean by that is it's, Adobe has all the products. I have a product suite, even though they live on different URLs, they're still under me. And so I think that if you're going to do that, you want to think bigger than the product, right? Like Boxwood Avenue is great. That's general, but then Chloe's got these things underneath of that, right? And so I want you to think bigger for a brand name than you maybe think you should think. Does that make sense?
Yes, it totally makes sense. And I'm going to explain why our CEO, Eric Hochberger, just came in here with the frowny face emoji when we brought up rebranding. And no. You didn't say anything wrong. The reason why, so here's the thing. What you guys have built when you've been blogging for a long time is an incredible domain authority. You've built up an audience. You have built up all this clout with Google. And when you change your URL, there it goes. So if you are really feeling like did you do that? Chloe, did you rebrand?
No, I was just saying goodbye to the.
Oh, yes, exactly. Cloud. Goodbye to all those things that you have built and spent years building. You can't get that back when you change your URL. So all that great advice that Erin just gave about finding ways to work within that framework that you have already built is perfect. And if you are feeling super motivated to try out a whole new URL, do it. Try a second one, but don't flush everything down the toilet from the one that you already have. And that's all I'll say on that. So Erin already kind of answered this one as well, but when you were saying you crowdsource, in terms of picking products and deciding what's going to sell, I'm sure it's a mix between your interests, like Chloe was talking about, with knowing she wanted to make these awesome stamps and products like that, the beautiful vintage products that she sells, and then asking your audience, do you just recommend just straight up saying, guys, I'm trying to make something? How do you crowdsource? How do you go out and get actually useful information from your audience? And how does that factor into your development of product?
I was just listening to this branding book, and they had such good advice on this topic. And it's so true. Oftentimes people don't know what they want. They don't know what they need yet. They don't know what they want. And so kind of our job is to figure out what they want or need. But a really good way to figure out potentially what you could add to their lives is ask what you add to their lives already. Ask, what do you enjoy about my brand? Or I did this on Instagram. I said, what do you guys enjoy about Boxwood Avenue? Rather than asking, what kind of blog posts do you like to see on Boxwood Avenue? Because they don't know. And it takes brain power for them to think like, what do I need? But for them to say, oh, I loved it when you posted about this, it comes to mind right away. And then you can see trends in the responses and say, oh, people are loving, like, it's so weird. People love when I post about beauty, and I'm not a beauty blogger.
Right.
But if I look at the numbers and I look back at what people are responding to, I can say, hey, okay, people are responding to this. I'm going to do this more. And maybe there's some sort of avenue that I would do like a beauty ebook or something like that. Yeah. So I just say, pay attention to numbers, pay attention to the way people are responding, and then ask them what they enjoy about your brand already.
That's a great question and great advice. And you can't numbers don't lie. So that means analytics. So read those analytics, you guys. Erin, what about you?
If you are going to go in full on product, I would also add to that. I love that. And I would add two things. One, get on the phone with people.
Okay. Love that. Oh, no, I agree.
I've done it. It's not scary, I promise. They're super nice, and they think that they're talking to a celebrity, number one. Number two, because you got to ask, you got to hear, you want to hear them. You got to hear the tone and hear what gets them excited and all that. So that would be the first one. The second one is to do some sort of a beta group of some kind, especially if you're launching a bigger product, more expensive, higher value, whatever. We did that when we launched our freezer cooking membership. I did a beta group, and I only had 100 people. I capped it at 100. And we are not quite 3.5 years in, and 88 of those 100 people are still members.
Wow.
3+ years later.
Amazing.
So I think it's really important because they gave me really great feedback, and they said they like this, and they said they don't like this, and they said add this, because the way they operate in their kitchen is different from how I operate in mine. And I want to make sure that this is going to meet as many needs as possible, even in this specific way and space. And so and then of course, getting their feedback, the social proof, the testimonials, all of that was also really valuable for us, in the long run. It feels slow in the moment when you're doing it. That beta feels really slow, but it's really important to take that time and nurture them and get that feedback and make updates. It's worth it in the long run.
Love all those suggestions. Love the questions to put to your audience that would be different than just the standard. What do you want to see? So talk to me about scaling. How do you start to scale production? How do you find people to produce? I know both of you said that you still have your physical products in your basement. So that's an answer partially there. But how did you start to find people to help you make these things a reality? Chloe, you go ahead. We'll start with you.
Okay, so for like shipping and things it's all about networking. For me, it all goes back to networking. So if I had one vendor that I really liked, I would pay attention. I know this is crazy, but I pay attention to who they were following on Instagram, and then I would look through and see if I needed a new vendor for whatever kind of product, I would look and see, okay, they're following this person. I bet they're related in product category. Yeah. And I mean that it really helped me because it helped me see who was reputable, because sometimes you can Google wholesaler XYZ and you're not going to find anybody that has what you want or need. And then just asking around, asking friends that are already doing it and figuring out what's worked for them. This year, so 2020 goal is to have, so I'm located really rurally, so it's very hard for me to manage it all. And my assistant just moved away. So I'm now back to kind of like a one-woman show, and it's just not realistic for me to be doing this all by myself now. So my goal is to have a shop in Reno and actually have a little storefront and studio space, which is 2 hours away from me, but I'm hoping that I can work it out. So anyways, that's my plan for scaling that, because you really can't do it all, blogging and shipping and selling and marketing.
And why would you want to? That sounds like it's just sounds really awful. And you have to take care of the goats. So
exactly.
That's a full-time job too. So
Butternut's no help.
Butternut is like, I am not going to ship for you, woman. You can't make me. So Erin, what about you?
Oh my gosh, I could just see this sassy goat trying to do shipping for you.
Can we take a picture? Can we share a picture of Butternut, please? Or share a link to Butternut? I just want to see Butternut.
We're all going to have dreams of Butternut shipping tonight. Okay.
Yes. Yep.
Oh my gosh, that's so funny. So I think that you have to get help, and you have to get, I mean, this is an entire, this could be its own hour-long video. But I would say my personal take on hiring in team, at this level, this is different from corporate, this is different from bigger business, at this lifestyle transitioning into a small business level, if you will, because that's, I think, kind of what we are here, is that you want to hire for characteristics and train from there.
110%.
So I hire for some knowledge and experience, and I hire for initiative. How much initiative are you just going to take? Yes, you are completely allowed to walk right on over whatever I said, as long as it makes sense, right? I want you to take initiative and take action. And I hire for integrity, and I hire for just hard workerness. That's not a word, but just willing to work hard. And so if you have those three qualities essentially, so initiative, integrity, and willing to work hard, and being able to keep up with me, I move fast, y'all. And you got to be able to keep up with me. So if you can, and that's partly with hardworking, it kind of goes like that. I always say that I'm just steering the freight train in the right direction. So if you can stay at freight train speed with me, then you're great. And so I will train you on the rest of it, or my now lead assistant will train you on the rest of it, if that makes sense. And so that's my personal way. So I have, there's a lot of sweat equity on my end that goes into that. But then once I've outsourced it, I don't really write content anymore. Is that weird?
No, that's awesome.
I mean, people would say, but you're a blogger. Well, there's other things that need my attention, and that just the priorities change. They do. And so I think when you can hire a rock star team around you based on those things, then you're good to go. Now, as far as products go, there's a huge learning curve with whether you're wholesaling or bringing in from overseas, huge learning curve. And I do think it's valuable for you to know. So I do know all the things. I have done most of that legwork myself. And I just am patient with it. It takes time. And I can't do any of that in a hurry. Digital things, you can do that in a hurry or quickly because it's soft. It's all on your computer. But the physical stuff, whether you're working with wholesalers or you're going to market or you're going to, you're going to Alibaba and going overseas, it just takes longer for all of that. So anyways, I think, if you have money and you have the infrastructure set, maybe your team's a little bit bigger and you have a little bit more cash flow running from some other stream, then, going after having somebody who's a buyer or a merchandising manager or something like that, helping you do that sort of outsourcing, because there's a lot of back and forth that happens with, whether it's a wholesaler or somebody you meet at market or somebody that you're working with overseas, right? It's a lot, actually. I'm just going to straight up say it. And so, but once you start down the path, like, commit to it, because you don't know how your audience is going to respond to your products and the things you want to sell them until you do it. So just do it.
So let me break. Yeah, Chloe, do you have something to add? Because I want to ask you guys about what Erin just said. Is that okay?
Yeah, just something to add to that.
Please.
Just that you have to do it, and like the beta for your digital products, beta for your products too. Like, don't be buying so much stuff if you don't know how it's going to sell. I was so surprised to find out that I bought a bunch of knockoff stuff. So like baskets that were made to look old. It didn't sell. None of that sold. All the expensive antiques sold like that. And so I was so glad I didn't buy a ton of knockoff stuff, but I did buy a variety of products to see how my audience was going to respond. And so now I know, like, I can go out and buy expensive one-of-a-kind antiques, and it's harder because I can't do reorders on those. But so then the model just shifts a little bit. Like, my husband was saying, what you should really do is just like once a month barn sales, and you have these vintage products once a month. It creates scarcity, it creates hype. And so, what you think is going to work may not work, and just be able to adjust and move with your audience and your target market.
Always pivot. That's the best way to, that's for in anything. So I was going to ask, you said just do it, one, and you said fully commit to it. How long does it take for you to, like, what is a good trial period? And I'm not just talking about a beta. I'm talking about once it starts and you're actually selling and it's not working and you're scared. You need to keep doing it and keep staying with it. Is there a time period there? And then when you were saying all the wholesalers versus overseas versus, where do you learn that? Where do you go? Is there a source? Is there a place that you can start to learn those things? Or is it just trial and error, trial by fire, figure it out?
The market.
You what? I'm sorry?
Going to market is where you really can start to learn and make those connections.
And what does that mean?
There are different markets, like they call them markets. So you can go to furniture markets, or there's the gift show, or there's the paper show. There's in Atlanta or New York or Vegas, and they have these different shows that all of the wholesale vendors come, and then you go around and you get business cards and you make connections and you can feel products. And then there they will have overseas reps where you can connect with them if you have a product idea, and then start to develop your product if you want to outsource it.
Okay, Erin.
Yes, I did a lot of learning and listening from two people. One is Steve Chu. He has profitableonlinestore.com. It is a course, but it is fantastic and very thorough. And then I also listened to a lot of podcasts from Scott Volker from The Amazing Seller. Both of them are phenomenal. Scott's focus is selling on Amazon, but you can learn the whole process of bringing them from overseas from his podcast. Like, I figured it out from his podcast.
Awesome.
That was years ago. And those guys are friends of mine. So, but they're producing quality content and quality education. And then let's see, as far as how much runway to give yourself or timeline, I mean, at least 18 months. And then I would say maybe even up to like 3 years. It really depends on the size of your audience. Obviously the more eyeballs, the more products you could sell if it's the right product match with your audience, right? So I think we cut ourselves short because it feels hard, or it feels scary, or maybe you think you have a mismatch. Well, put it somewhere else. Go put it on Amazon. It's not hard to send inventory into Amazon. Yes, you might need to learn a little bit, but it's not hard to do. Literally, you get a seller's account, you get a label printed, you slap it on a box, and you send it over there, right? But you don't know what you don't know, so you got to figure it out. And so, yeah, I would say that whether it's a digital or physical product, I think we just, as humans, we don't want to do things that are uncomfortable. And so we are not willing to see it through, because at the time it seemed like a great idea and you're all jazzed up and you're all motivated, you're all passionate, you're going. And then for whatever reason you hit some wall. We'll push through the wall. That's all I got to say about that.
Can I go ahead? Who was Mr. Chu? We're trying to look for him. We're trying to look for a link on that. And I want to share it. We've shared The Amazing Seller. I just wanted to share the other link as well.
profitableonlinestore.com or mywifequitherjob.com.
profitableonlinestore.com or mywifequitherjob.com.
Yeah,
Okay,
he's your new bestie. He really is.
That's awesome. And it sounds like it's exactly what people need.
Talking about me. Yeah, he's amazing guy. Yeah.
Okay. So Jenny Kopelek just said, and what we're getting ready to launch into with the small amount of time that we have left, because you guys have so much to share, but I want to get into a little bit about marketing and pricing and how you sell these products that you've now made or developed. But Jenny says, would you suggest free SVG files or linking in $50 files into each of your Cricut posts? Is that something you guys have feedback on, or it's okay if you don't? Okay.
If she's just trying to grow her email list, a free download is always beneficial.
Yeah.
Okay.
I agree. I would say anything to get people on your email list, because email will sell over any other channel. You can argue with me all day long on that, but
You're right.
I will give you the data. Email is where people connect with you. It's where you can give personal touches. It's where you can share what's going on in your life, in your business, in product. It's where people connect with you right now. Other people might say there's movement towards bots and chat, which we have all of that stuff. But when it comes down to it, it is email.
Also, it's the only audience that you own.
Correct.
So do it. Grow your email list. That's how you use it. That's affiliate sales, and that's selling your own products. That's everything. So grow your list. Quit, period. So talk to me about marketing. How do you set pricing? How do you guys do you do sales? Like you were talking about the barn sale. How do you set prices, and how do you market? Do you market to your existing audience? Are you marketing to new audiences? I know these are a lot of questions, but I'm curious.
For me, for pricing, I usually will mark it up 300 3 times. So if I pay $10. Rather than charging $20, I'll charge $30. And
Okay.
then that gives me wiggle room with sales, with being able to gift free product to influencers or whatever, for returns, things that don't sell, pay, just all the fees and everything. And then I will also include shipping in the cost of the product and offer a discounted shipping rate. So that way I don't have to worry about shipping so much. Now, shipping for me totally sucks because I've got heavy, expensive, breakable products. And so that was just a learning curve. Like, my last time that I went to go buy product, I bought all metal. Like, nothing will break, but it's heavy. And then having all of the boxes in my basement and ordering boxes, like, that's why I will mark it up 3 times, because I've got to pay for all of that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Erin, how about you?
Okay, Chloe, we need to get you into jewelry.
Right? Well, the
Earrings.
stamps, I'm telling you, the stamps, they're like $3. They're $3.65 to ship.
I know, yeah, that first class mail price, anything under and then you can do no tracking if it's under 13 ounces, I think. Anyways, our pricing is set by the market. We have, products that have competitors, and so, we have to set right where that is. And I think too, kind of going what Chloe was saying is, like, Chloe's positioned as a luxury brand, right? I'm positioned as the budget brand. And so it really depends on that as well. And what is positioning? Positioning is words. So, like, you decide what words you're going to use, right? And so I think that that's really important to consider is, the positioning and all of that is important for the pricing. And then I just blanked on your second part of your question.
So just marketing. How are you marketing? How do you sell? How do you sell to your, do you sell to your existing audience? Are you purchasing ads to sell to new people? Talk about that. And other than knowing that email is king and we all need email.
So marketing is twofold. Marketing is, okay. So there's like 18 buckets to marketing. But marketing is connecting, here, let's define it first. Marketing is connecting your product with the right message at the right audience at the right time, right? So that's what marketing it is. Marketing leads to the sale, if you will. And so marketing, you have to be thinking about the entire customer journey and experience in your marketing. So you have to be marketing, you have to do lead gen marketing, which is getting people into your ecosystem, your funnel, your email, your blog, whatever. So you have to be thinking about lead gen, which is getting eyeballs, right? And you also have to be thinking about social media marketing, which is re-engaging eyeballs. And you have to be thinking about the email marketing, which is probably where you're going to be selling to the eyeballs. Does that make sense? Eyeballs.
Yeah.
Eyeballs are people, y'all. But there's all these parts and pieces to it that you have to think about and you have to focus on and you have to dial in on. I think the best place to start is your existing audience and list. But then from there, you got to go back to the beginning all the time. You are all the time going back and getting new people in. And one of your goals or KPIs or however you do your business absolutely needs to be new lead gen, basically.
Fresh blood.
Yep.
Chloe, same question to you. How do you market? And I would imagine that a lot of it, and I've looked at some of both of your marketing, really how you're generating those words and getting that is to do with that product. Again, Chloe's giving us this warm, homey, vintage feel that's luxury, and that's going to call for a certain kind of marketing. And then Erin is doing, she's got people that are in a hurry that are wanting to get their food on the table, and that's a totally different kind of feel that she's wanting to evoke. So that we're speaking to two totally different audiences here.
For me, primarily Instagram has been really good to me. So marketing, social media marketing, but also through email too. And this year I would love to find somebody that's just really great at doing Facebook and Instagram ads. So I don't have to do it.
I know someone. I'll send her over. Yes.
Please.
Yes.
Please. Yeah. Just especially once we get our online course going too, because not all of my audience is interested in interior design. And so finding this new audience for business is going to be a whole new endeavor.
Awesome. Okay. Well, we're sharing some links for you guys because we're almost out of time. So let's just, for the final question, I'm going to have you guys share your top tip for someone who is interested in getting into product development but doesn't know the first step. So I'm going to have you share your top tip for that. And then I also want you guys to share if you were to drive people, our audience, to any one of your products or one of your courses or something that you really want people to get started with, let us know at that too. And what I'm going to say, I'm going to tell you guys while they're thinking that we have next, our live is on a Tuesday, you guys. So I don't want anyone to get all freaked out. We're going to start promoting about it. But next week we are talking about, it's our final week of July, which is crazy. And we're going to be still continuing with Beyond Blogging. And we're going to be talking about course creation, which is another important revenue stream. Yay! We're so glad. And we're very excited about that. We've got some excellent experts. I'm going to tell you who they are in a moment. I know that I know who they are. However, I am not thinking of who they are right now, which is sad and embarrassing. I know one of them is Jessica Festa of Jessie on a Journey. And the other is Hillary Erickson, who I adore, of Pulling Curls. They're both amazing. And we're going to talk about course creation for an hour. Come with your questions. We're going to be promoting. It's next Tuesday, which is the 23rd, at 2 p.m. Central Time, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. And I'm going to have the last word from my two amazing guests. First, thank you, ladies, so much for joining me. You both are sharing so much knowledge. I feel like I need to be taking notes and developing products while you're talking. So thank you for that. Chloe, let's start with you. What is your one tip that you want to give someone who's thinking about jumping into the product development pool? And where do you want to send our audience to?
I would say my number one tip would be to network and find a mentor and somebody that you can bounce questions off of, somebody that's done it before that can help you and help steer your ship as you go. I would also say just find your niche, really niche down, and figure out what your product is going to be. That would be I guess that's two, my two top tips. And then I would love if anybody is interested in branding, social media, blogging, photography. I'm doing a whole course or a whole retreat in Sonoma, California. So if anybody's listening or watching, it's a luxury retreat. It's like a vacation retreat. We're doing yoga, having private chefs come cook us dinner. And then in between, we'll be learning and photographing and having a lot of fun. So there's a link here. I saw it. If anybody's interested.
We posted it, and I want to go. So
tickets are on sale. They're discounted early bird rate if anybody's interested.
That's amazing. When is that retreat going to be, Chloe?
It's October 15th through the 17th.
Okay, I will have to check my calendar. Erin, how about you?
Oh, I love it. Okay, so tip wise, I want to go a little bit higher level and something a little less practical than what I normally share, and say that you've got to get out of your own way. And it's hard to do because it's hard to recognize the thoughts that are keeping us from doing the things that we should or want to do. And that's this whole like entrepreneurship, small business owner journey is basically a personal development journey. And the faster you figure out how to get out of your own way, the faster you're going to find success. And so I want to say that I figure out what little thoughts are nagging you, what's keeping you from putting out the ebook, what's keeping you from just taking the leap, like figure that out and then write down the opposite, like write that stuff down, post it everywhere, make it the background on your computer, right? Like do what you can to get out of your own way to take the action you need to take. And then where to find me is everything that we have is on the homepage of $5dinners.com.
I love that. So I'm going to share my nerdy theater thought that there's a song out there called Die Vampire Die. And the vampire that they're referring to are the negative thoughts and the naysayers that exist in your mind and the past remarks that people have made. So listen to the song Die Vampire Die because it really is kind of a game changer. I listen to that, like I jam to that when I'm like, I can't do it. No, die, vampire, die. So you ladies have been amazing. I'm so grateful to you guys for being here. Please come back. Will you both promise to come back someday?
Yeah,
totally.
Thank you.
Hey,
this was so fun.
Good. I'm so glad. Everyone, thank you to Erin and to Chloe. Thank you for being here. Guys, stay cool and come join us next week for our final week of Beyond Blogging where we're talking course creation. Bye, everyone. Have a great day.